My name is Ronald Cheng, or in Chinese Cheng, and I work as an assistant U.S. attorney with the Department of Justice. My comments today are strictly in my personal capacity. I'm not speaking as a representative of the department or the government. As Clay said, I've been very fortunate in recent years to work directly with China and with many people in and outside the government in my work. I should preface this by saying that from 2005 to 2007, I worked from within the embassy in Beijing for the United States as the resident legal advisor. My primary responsibility was to foster greater exchange in the area of law, especially criminal law. And I had the pleasure of working with all sorts of government institutions, including public security, prosecutors' offices, courts, lawyers' associations, including defense lawyers, and law schools. And to echo a point that was made by Dean Wilson, my work was not just in Beijing or in Shanghai. By the time I'd finished my 2.5-year stint, we had traveled to well over 20 provinces and self-governing cities, including all 4 of the major self-governing cities in China, including the cities that I am positive not all of you have heard of, but probably with populations well over 1 million. We discussed issues not just at a facial level, but at a very sophisticated level. We put on moot courts involving U.S. suppression procedure. I talked about practices ranging from plea bargaining to U.S. principles involving criminal discovery, live witness testimony, our jury system, sentencing in the federal and state systems. These were all issues that we spoke about, and at a fairly high level of sophistication, to audiences that included students, undergrads, graduate students, practitioners, academics, and I would say our reception was almost unanimously positive. If there was anything less than a warm reception, it was probably due to my poor level of Chinese starting off. Than anything to do with the United States or China per se. After that, I returned here and I continued to have the good fortune to work on several cases involving transnational crime. Just as in business, in government, in the arts, the relationship between the two countries in criminal law is growing based primarily on a phenomenon of transnational crime, unfortunately. But given that it's there, there is the need to address it. One of the cases I worked on involved a case that many of you, I'm sure, have heard about involving embezzlement from the Bank of China during the 1990s. It involved a number of bank managers who fled to the United States to avoid prosecution in China based upon their crimes in the United States, which include immigration fraud and money laundering. The U.S. Department of Justice brought a prosecution in the District of Nevada, and the defendants, the 2 remaining bank managers and their wives, were prosecuted and convicted. This could not have occurred without cooperation from the Chinese government, specifically the Chinese Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Public Security. Through this cooperation, we were able to secure testimony, including witnesses who were in prison in China, as well as other witnesses who came over to the United States. And we were able to bring the case to a successful conclusion as far as the conviction was concerned. This has continued to the present day. Approximately a month ago, the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, together with Chinese law enforcement, were able to share information which led to the closure of an unlawful hacking phishing site based in China, which offered the service of hacking a victim's email password for a fee. I'm sure many of you have heard of this phenomenon worldwide. Through the sharing of information, Chinese law enforcement was able to further investigate the operator of the hack site overseas and was able to make an arrest and search the site of the website. These are only examples of successful cases. Of course, as in so many areas, both sides would like to see more. And I think more can be done. I think more begins with understanding on the part of the younger people who eventually will go into these fields. And this is something that I and others tried to foster during my time over in China. And even though my role has changed into more of the role of a professional prosecutor, it's something that I continue to try to hope to develop through addressing young people when I travel, both overseas and frankly as well as here. There's a tremendous resource in the overseas Chinese population, and just as a criticism can be laid at the feet of Americans who go overseas and stay in their expat communities, I think in many ways the same criticism could be laid at the feet of Chinese overseas students who come over here and stay with their fellow students, especially in a city like Los Angeles that has so much to offer in terms of the benefits of home to those who come from China. I think a lot more could be done in that area, and hopefully more will be done through rollouts such as these. So again, I want to thank Clay for his kind invitation, and I hope I've been able to contribute a little bit towards the noble aims of this project. Thank you.